Take a breath.
We're done.
There's so many unique pieces here.
It's like actually walking through nature.
It really looks like it was just kind of carved in there. Just got back into town. We're ready for round 2 over at Tanner's place, but what he told me was he's got a really cool place right around the corner from his home, and it's a really cool, unique little stream ecosystem. He said it's loaded with salamanders, and this is right up my alley. I'm totally looking forward to checking out nature with Tanner. All right, Tanner, what'd you find?
Found a pretty cool creek chub here. Just
Oh, yeah,
around.
look at that.
It's probably about full size. Might get a little bit bigger than that.
You get him?
You got him?
Yeah.
That's a dusky.
Dusky. There was another one in there, wasn't there? There he is. So awesome. That's a good day right there. All right, cool little finds.
It's a baby.
Oh.
Just jump.
Oh, nice. Went to, yep. Crayfish. This is a perfect habitat for them. Check that out. One giant slab of stone. So we're finding this. We're going further up the canyon, getting up to the headwaters kind of, and finding more of that bedrock versus that stuff down below. Completely different. So we're getting down to the last little details right now, which is a lot of the fun stuff, but it's things that we cannot take shortcuts on. We have this incredible stump over here. It actually grew around one of the boulders. This is one of the stumps that we found actually at the quarry when we were there many months ago at this point, which just blows my mind. So Tanner, Tim, myself, we went out to the quarry, picked out all these cool pieces. Now they're showing up on the job site. We're utilizing them in the best way possible. So what we're trying to do now is take this one cool stump, and it's gonna bridge over the area between the wetland and the lower waterfall. Positioning is key. We want to make sure that we have these roots and the stumps and all that cool stuff coming down inside, and then we have to finish up the wetland. We have all the infrastructure in place. We have the pumps, we have the piping, we have the centipede, the snorkel, all the aqua blocks and the first layers of river rock on top of it. What I want to do next is I'm going to reposition with our skid steer. We're going to come on inside and we're going to start dumping more river rock inside the wetland, because I can't place the boulders inside of here until the gravel's at the proper level. We can't finish the edges until the boulders are in place. So you see this cascading effect of where we actually are unfortunately stuck. I'm hoping that everything falls in place.
Tanner, how many plants do you think you're putting in this on?
Hundreds most likely, or not hundred, maybe, you know, upwards of 100,000. I'm gonna plant it up right. I'll probably only do a little bit this year, but it might be a good time to invest in plants just because it's the end of the season, so everybody's trying to get rid of them. I got like all these trees and stuff at heavy discounts just because people were trying to clear them out to get pumpkins and mums and seasonal type things. So honestly, this is a great time of the year to build a water feature on a budget.
It's always nice when we start getting some landscaping happening. Now what we're doing is waiting for the water truck to leave, so that way we can pull the machine out, because we have a traffic jam happening up here right now. We got to pull the big excavator out to get the little one out, to get the big one back in, so we can start excavation and keep the waterfall being built. I definitely want to get that waterfall done as quickly as possible, because then we have to dig the wetland, all the rock, gravel, water inside of here, so we can get this thing operational. Hey, what's up everybody? Ed the Pond Professor here. I am here with Tim Wood. He is previous Artist of the Year. How many years ago now?
2020, 3 years.
2020, yeah. Nice. So Tim and I have done a bunch of projects together, and we love getting together, talking about moss and logs and all the really cool stuff. Tim, tell us a little bit about, you have a really cool concept that I've seen you do, your eco streams.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about kind of that concept, the importance of it, where those ideas came from.
Yeah, so it comes from the idea of just basically my background being in lake management and natural resource, and kind of an overall ecosystem theme just for the entire property, not just a small water feature. So the EcoStream idea is kind of like, I mean, not too dissimilar from what we're doing here today. Basically taking a koi pond, water garden ecosystem pond and make it look more of a meandering stream, even the pond itself. So it kind of speeds up that current going into the intake bay or the skimmer, however we're building it. And then that just, it mimics the koi carp natural habitat a little more, because they're a riverine species, the carp is.
Agreed.
You know, we love to find a nice mossy log like this, anchored into a side of a stream or even right next to the pond or sometimes in the water, just depends on the circumstance, because it really softens it visually, and it also creates a little bit of that kind of micro habitat that I know that you like to do as well.
I love it. I love it. I love it. And this is exactly the reason why Tim is the new conservationist of the year. Exactly for that reason. He knows his stuff inside and out. Love talking about biology, all that cool stuff. This is why we're here.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I had no idea.
I just want to say, like, thanks everybody for coming out, for all the accommodations and everything. I appreciate all the effort and hard work that went into it. I know that there was a lot of special care going on to the details, which obviously I appreciate as a detailed oriented person myself. Seeing you guys work and stuff, I feel like the luckiest guy in the world, so I just want to thank you all so much.
Thank you.
We are setting some of the last waterfall rocks going in this whole project. Ed and Chris are working on a real big, massive rock right now. We've got 2 more spills coming out of the wetland, and then we're gonna wrap up the wetland and we'll be done.
Oh, we got flow.
Let it flow, let it flow.
It's coming. Take a breath.
We're done.
It has been craziness for like, what, 2 weeks?
Yeah, I mean, we had a little bit of a break. Well, you guys had a break in between. I didn't.
But you never have a break. You work 7 days a week.
I do, yeah. Usually.
He's a madman. But this project started, everything was going on track. We dug everything out. Everything was looking great.
Yeah.
And then rain.
Rain.
And then more rain. And it just kept coming and coming. What that did was it forced us to do some drainage systems. I think long term, you know, setting everything up to work properly is key. Had that big bubble pop up in the bottom, so we alleviated that. But what I love about this type of a project, you know, working with you, just because you have such that artistic vision of how you kind of envision things, just you talking things through, picking out all these different rocks. Tell me a little bit about your thought process.
So there's a few different ways that I go about doing it. It all depends on the project. A lot of times it's centered around the animal. Maybe I have an animal with very specific needs and requirements, so I think of that and then just try to make something that looks cool but also facilitates all of those needs and more. Another aspect could be simply that I find a cool material, maybe a cool type of stone, a cool piece of driftwood, and I look at it and I'm like, wow, that's a really cool piece of art. How could I integrate that into Escape and make for something really dynamic and cool that I could also incorporate live plants and animals? Because obviously I primarily just work within nature design. I just call it all nature design because
that makes sense.
Because it all uses the same principles more or less, with different nuances to each.
I know you get tons of inspiration from actually going out in nature.
Yeah, absolutely.
And this part of Pennsylvania, it's like you're immersed, like right smack in the middle of it.
Yeah,
all. I mean, you can go in 5 miles in any direction and find rivers and creeks and ravines and rocks and all that cool stuff, which to me that's the greatest form of inspiration out there. So specifically about our project here, so taking some of those concepts and things, you and I and Tim went to the stone yard.
Yeah.
Started looking at rock. I think we did a really good job because we have a good diversity. We used every single rock that we have. You know, but we got the water feature done, but I mean, you can keep going. I mean, the property's huge. The mix, I think, is key. And that's what I really love about this project was from looking out the window, we have the main pond in the foreground. And then it just kind of just builds itself going up that hillside. It really looks like it was just kind of carved in there. I think everything came together really well. And then these logs, I mean, you had access to, I mean, right here on your property.
Yeah, but if you think about it, we just made room for a ton of new sapling trees to grow up.
Right,
so it's kind of a cool thing about it. And I liked what you said about the different scale of stone. Scale is probably one of the most important aspects of creating stuff like this. A big rock only looks big if you have something to reference it to. If you were looking in a white room and you had some rock the size of a mountain, you would have no idea how big it was.
Right, completely agree. And I think it started, you know, so if we reconstruct this, and again, it's hard to imagine what this looked like before we started. I mean, it really is. I mean, it was turf grass coming down, but it has changed so much. Top rocks all the way to the very bottom, we're looking at well over 10 feet of rock work.
Yeah.
You know, so putting in that Versalock block wall down at the bottom, having that deep zone, the cool little fish caves down there. I'm just trying to go through in my head, like all the different pieces. I can't wait to see what you do, not on the outside, but inside.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's just gonna go to a whole new level. So we have that deep zone. We put those jets in there to push everything through. I'm always a big fan of really good circulation. We have 2 big pumping systems. All that water goes into the intake bay. You know, and talking about from artistry, it's nice to have one unique piece, but it's also nice to have repetition, you know, of different things.
Yeah.
So having some of that log element repeated throughout everything, I think works really well, especially because you're in a wooded environment. So there's trees everywhere. So these logs, they look real because that came from 200 feet that way.
Yeah, it makes
you know,
it more believable.
It's totally believable. We should just walk around and point some of these things out.
Yeah, no doubt.
There's so much stuff. The view and everything from this area is pretty cool. You know, I mean, it's like, it's really rocky and it kind of cascades down. You have the little wetland behind us. We have this big stump over here, but it's just a completely different aspect, and it really shows the scale of everything.
Yeah, and I think in my projects, and I'm sure you would agree, that when you think about designing something, think about it from every area where you can see it. Obviously, fish tank, you're not going to see it from the back. If it doesn't look interesting from all the angles you can see, you're probably not doing something right.
Yeah, no, completely agree. And you're talking about doing a patio right up over here, which is going to be awesome. Yeah. I mean, you're going to have tons of seating close to the house, all the different stumps. I remember, you know, this guy coming from the quarry. Like I said, there's so many unique pieces here. It's hard to pick one because the more you walk around and look at stuff, it's like the little pieces you actually see.
It's like actually walking through nature. And it's kind of the vision my wife and I had when we bought this place. I could just imagine someday raising my kids, showing them about nature through this and through the property and stuff, and I think it'd be really cool.
The sound of water coming through here, that sound is coming right at the home. You know, I mean, you're gonna be able to open the doors and windows, and that sound is just gonna fill the space. So again, I don't know. I mean, until you landscape it, I know it's just gonna go not just from here to here, it's just gonna boom. I mean, it's just gonna explode to a whole nother level because that's what nature's about. It's, you know, hiding the rocks and bringing in the vegetation. I can't wait to come back.
It's the last 10%, right?
100% agree.
I'm glad that we didn't do the last 10% because it makes it more special. I built it with them, not they built it for me. And adding the next 10% myself, I think will make it not only an aquascape, but a Serpa design, right?
I love it, buddy. Well, it's been a blast working with you.
Hey,
I look forward to coming back.
Right on.
So if you love this project the way I do, I know you're gonna love the previous project that we did with Tanner.